very good day to our lecturer, Dr. Kong Lai Kwan, lecturer for subject TPT 250. In this video, our group will present to you about transportation in Kedah as our group assignment project. Before we start, this group will consist with 5 members including myself, Muhamad Ezril Fitri bin Muhammad Kamrulnezam, Muhammad Azri Nazmi bin Muhammad Ridhaini, Muhammad Fahim bin Subli, Muhammad Aiman Fitri bin Zainudin, and lastly Ahmad Hafizi bin Zuki. Without wasting time, let's proceed to the first slide of this assignment. Now, let's talk about the introduction. For introduction, we have decided to choose Alostar as a specific area for this assignment project. It was established in 1735 by Sultan Muhammad Jiwa Zainal Adilin II. We choose this area because Alostar is the state capital of Kedah, Malaysia. Because of that, most of transportation in Kedah was begun in Kota Star, or we know as Alostar. This area also became the main road for people and traders pass to one destination. Now, we proceed to the transportation system in Kedah early 1700 until 2000. Based on the table above, we can see the comparison about transportation system in Kedah from 1700 until 2000. At the previous time ago, most of transportation are using animal and people energy. Besides that, not all people can use the transportation. Only nobility person can use certain transportation for certain purpose. Other than that, there is no systematic road for people use. They only use small alleys, trails and river as their main road every day. Animals such as buffalo and cow were using in agriculture industry. Now, we look to the transportation system in Kedah nowadays. Most of transportation are using machine and mechanical. Besides that, all people can use the transportation because people nowadays can afford and easily get the transportation anyway. Other than that, all the road nowadays is systematic. Most of the area in Malaysia, especially Kedah, have many tar road and highway for people use every day. People also using motor vehicle in agriculture industry. For example, tractor is used for paddy industry in Kedah. For the next slide, my friend will talk more specific about the transportation system in Kedah.
My name is Muhammad Azri Nazmi bin Muhammad Ridhaini. My student ID is 2019666342. Now we move to the evolution of transportation in Kedah. Here we put 3 different centuries from year 1700 to 1800, 1800 to 1900 and 1900 to 2000. In year 1700 to 1800, the change in transportation system in Kedah are changing slowly. Change continue to occur as a human make the most significant change when they using an animal and human energy in transportation sector and agriculture industry. They use it because of the lack of systematic roads such small alley, trail and river. The example of the animal used there at that time such as horses, cows and elephant. The second one is from year 1800 to 1900. In the late of 1800, or more specifically in 1893, the first steam train and railroad was introduced in Kedah. For the first time with the iron road, or known as a railway, people can travel long distance in relatively comfortable, safe and fast. People using steam train as a public transport and cargo shipment. Before that, people use river as their transportation road. People also use langkah and bicycle as their transportation at a certain time. Then we move to the year 1900 to 2000. Since road conditions are getting better, many new vehicles began to be used by people there, such car, buses, motorcycle and taxi. Roads that were previously never been traversed and explored have begun to be developed into a major road that people can use easily and safely. All road is now systematic. We can see so many highway, avenue, boulevard and expressway. Airplanes and ferry also begin to be used as a transportation and cargo shipment. Now let's see the graph here. Based on the data above, we can see that people still using human energy and animal as the transportation until now. Even though they have a lot of improvement for transportation system, still have people using that kind of transportation, even though they not use it as a daily transportation. Same goes to the train, langkah and bicycle. They also have a certain people use that kind of transportation until now. It is because some of people did not want that traditional transportation vanish with time, and they still keep that transportation because it's very valuable. Modern transportation such car, buses and motorcycle in Kedah is used by people nowadays, and maybe it's still relevant for people use it in future.
Hi and salam sejahtera, my name is Muhammad Fahim bin Subli, and I'm going to talk about the type of transportation system provided in city of Kedah back then versus now. Back then, there's only two type of transportation system, which is the land transportation and water transportation. For land transportation, they mainly use two type of energy source, which is animal and human. For animal, they using such as elephant, cow, buffalo and even horses. Cow and buffalo they using to ploughing the soil to plant the paddy in agriculture sector. For the water transportation, they use a handmade craft such as canoe, barge, sailboat and even raft. This type of transportation are using mainly in the river area such as the lembah sungai. Most of the transportation in this system was going in early 1700s until 1900s. Most of the people use this kind of transportation because they want to go to the destination which is far and take long time to reach at the destination. Nowadays, all the transportation system are provided in Alustar Kedah. Let we start from the land transportation system nowadays. Most of the people use motor vehicle as their daily transportation. For example, car, buses, lorry, tractor, paddy machine and motorcycle. Secondly, we have water transportation such as ferry, boat, ship, and also we have terminal ferry Kuala Kedah. Last one, we have air transportation. This type of transportation was used by people in the early 90s until now. The first airport in Kedah was Lapangan Terbang Sultan Abdul Halim. This airport was made in the middle of rice field in Kepala Batas, 14 km from the city centre, by the Kedah State Public and Work Department. Next, we're going to talk about the role of transportation back then versus now. Back then, they only used for their personal use or the family use. For example, they use animals such as cows and buffalo for the land ploughing and harvesting their paddy in the paddy field. Second one, they use for carrying their goods or belonging from one place to another place. Normally, they will use animal to carry their heavy goods and belonging. The last one is for personal use. As I said earlier, this one such as the canoe and the raft that they make by themselves. They used to go from one place to another place faster. Next, we'll talk about the role of transportation nowadays. Okay, the first role is pretty much the same as the role back then, which is in the agriculture sector. But the difference is in the term of technology advancement, because nowadays the farmer use heavy tractor, lorry and even paddy machine for their work. Next, the role of transportation nowadays are tourism industry purpose. This is important for the economy of a country If one country has the advancements of transportation such as big airport with a lot of airplane, the tourists will be attached to visit the country. Lastly, the role of transportation nowadays are for commercial purpose. We have to admit, we live in such an advanced country and having a very advanced public transportation compared to our neighbor country. In Kedah, beside from having airports, they also have the link of buses that connected every area in Kedah. Besides, the advancement of the technology make the public transportation even more easier that we can book a ride using our phone. So this is the role of transportation back then and the role for nowadays. Thank you.
My name is Muhamad Aiman Fitri bin Zainudin. My student ID number is 2019-257-844. Next I'm gonna talk about transportation problem. What is transportation problem? The first transportation problem is time consuming. In years 1700 of transportation at Kedah is more time consuming. As example, time taken to do land plowing using buffalo is really time consuming because the movement of the buffalo is really slow. The next problem is heavy force. As example, before the mechanical engine transportation was invented, water transportation such as canoe and raft need to pedal by human itself, which is equivalent as heavy force. The next problem is pollution. As example, most of the transportation are using mechanical engine that mostly powered by diesel, such as lorry. With that, it produce more carbon in the air that cause air pollution. Next we move to the solution. How they deal with those issues? The first one is they use engine transportation to replace animal transportation to reduce time taking in any activity. Next, the innovative invention can also deal with the heavy force problem. Next, how they deal with the problem is they use hybrid system in transportation to overcome the air pollution problem, because as we know, the hybrid system is more eco-friendly. Lastly, Kedah state government gives subsidies to the local farmer. It is because the cost to use the farm transportation is really high.
My name is Ahmad Hafizi bin Zuki and my student ID is 2019-226752. Now we proceed to the impact of transportation system in Kedah. First, we go through to the 1700s until 1900s. In 1700s, people still use people energy and animals such as horses, cows and elephants as their public transportation and other purposes such as agriculture industry. By the end of 1893, the railway and steam train were introduced. The main function of steam train is to carry out raw materials such as coal, gold and others from the mining area as a cargo shipment. Besides that, steam train also be used for people to travel for a long distance comfortable, safe and fast respectively. By this, people can move from one place to another place effectively as it increase the quality of life or standard of living and decrease the time consuming. Next, we go through to the 1900s until 2000s. Many roads are improved and expanded, and many vehicles such as cars, buses and ferries began to use by the people. Tractor and paddy machine are used in agricultural industry. By this, movement of people from one place to one place becomes easier or high accessibility because the uses of cars, buses and ferries. Next, create job opportunities. With the establishment of the airport and other facilities, there are many job opportunities offered to the people.
Okay, next we move to conclusion. Okay, as we know, there are many changes that involve in transportation system in Kedah. Okay, begin in Alustar from years 1700 to 2000. From one year to another year, Alustar is becoming more advanced with technologies and facilities that is evolving over time. Okay, this evolution is seen as very positive as it provides many benefits to the local state as well as the country. Okay, every country need to evolve, develop their transportation system to gain advantage such as foreign investment and increase the tourist attraction.
I think that's all from us for this particular assignment. Thank you to the lecturer of this particular subject, TPT 250, Dr. Kong Lai Kwan, for giving a guideline to us to complete this assignment. Hopefully, this video gives all the information about the transportation system in Kedah. I think that's all from us. Thank you so much and have a nice day.